Welcome back. Just in a short while from now, we'll get you the Finance Minister while speaking on the channel itself. So don't miss that exclusive interview. That's going to be there in a few minutes. By the way, for the time being, though, the Nifty has moved to the high point of the day. We're up 150 points. And the Adani Group stocks, they've seen a big recovery. Whether it's Adani Ports, Adani Enterprises that was down 35% at the low point of the day. Now it's down closer to around 10% odd. ACC has moved into the green. Ambuja Cements as well has recovered a little bit. Question is, how long does this last? For the time being, though, the street is taking heart from that. But let's get in Vaibhav Sanghavi, the co-CEO of Avendus Capital, who joins us. Hi, Vaibhav. Good afternoon. Well, let's get to the top discussion point itself. The Adani Group. The street seems to be a little bit nervous about it. And the stocks have corrected big time. Now, the street clearly is looking at the group with, a bit of a split out there. Adani Ports, ACC and Ambuja are different from the rest of the group. That's at least what the street thinks. What's your view on the group, and have any of these stocks coming to the value part now?
So, Nigel, the way I am kind of looking at is, that enough and more kind of is kind of mentioned about the whole episode, across the channels. Sometimes, it's kind of wise to kind of put it off, from our radar, while we are looking to a broader market. Unfortunately, what has happened is basically it got amplified because of the persistent negative flows into India, which is partly because of shift from India to China amongst the emerging market basket. So in my view, I think market is at a pretty good position in terms of the risk-reward ratio, and probably may see some amount of recovery, from year onwards. In the ground that the budget has been excellent.
Market will see a recovery, but any view on any of these stocks?
No, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to comment on those kind of names specifically. But if the market is kind of, looking to go up, maybe the whole, every of them can kind of move in that kind of respect as well.
Vaibhav, do stay on. We've also got Mark Matthews of Bank, Julius Baer and company joining us on the show now. Mark, afternoon, and thank you very much for joining in. The Adani episode has grabbed global headlines. Do you think in any way it's tarnished India's image? We've seen the FI outflows continue, in fact, even exacerbate over the last couple of days, in the last 1 week since this issue has broken out. Your thoughts on how foreign investors are viewing the Adani Group and India ex of Adani?
Well, I'm glad these sorts of short sellers exist because very often the investment banks don't dare write anything critical about companies or countries. And so they serve a purpose. But on the other hand, sometimes they can create such a panic, such a furor, that you almost have a witch hunt, which is not good. And I feel like there's a bit of a witch hunt going on now. And it's impacted all of India. And I don't think it should. Now, specifically on the group, I have no way of knowing if the allegations are true. If truth be told, I must add, I haven't read the report from Hindenburg. I'm aware that some of the allegations involve inflating the books by using related parties. And I would simply say that's a very difficult thing to find out. Even SEBI would have a hard time knowing, trying to dig up behind Cayman or Mauritius companies who the real personalities are. But I would say the group has a lot of very good quality assets. It has a lot of money and it has a lot of potential sponsors. And I don't think it's going away. And on India broadly, I also don't think this will be a black mark on the country. As I mentioned, these short sellers, it's not the first time they've done this. I'm in Singapore. I saw them do that here on several companies. I mean, the names wouldn't be particularly important for you, but anyway, it didn't end up being a big black mark on Singapore Inc. And I don't think this will either for India Inc.
No, we've had many issues in the past, Mark, here, and the market moves on, right? I mean, it does take note and works its way through, and then when it moves on, as I think we're already starting to see now. I mean, you've got the market is up 1% or so on the Nifty. Banks are doing well. Vaibhav, what are you doing really in terms of your fund? What kind of trades are you taking? And is it more long than short?
No, I think yes. In terms of after navigating the volatility for about last 2 odd weeks, we do think that it's we've come to kind of level and stability where ideally our longs would be higher than our shorts. So in that respect, we would we would ideally wish to kind of increase our exposures on the long side. There are a lot of quality sectors and stocks available, especially in the liquid space, which we will have probably an eye on.
Okay. Mark, good afternoon. So take your point on Adani. What else are you buying in India, if at all? I mean, we've had a dip in January. It's continuing so far in February. What would you buy in India now?
Well, we're not adding or subtracting from India, but I would simply say that there's something else going on beyond this Hindenburg research report, which is rotation from last year's outperformers into last year's underperformers. And you can see that pretty much in every country around the world. Look at what happened with Facebook last night. And that was one of the big losers in the US market last year. I think it was up 30% or something like that last night. So because India did relatively well last year, it is underperforming this year. And I'm not surprised by that. But I do think that when we work our way a little more into the year, let's say we get to around the summer, then I think that sort of rebalancing will be over. And I still think India will have a good year on the whole. It might not be up as much as, say, a Korea or a Taiwan, which are these very cyclical kind of markets. But I still think that it can do about 10% from January 1st to December 31st of this year.
That'll be good news. So it appears a bit of a fling with the Chinese markets, but India is here forever. hopefully, that's the case that plays out in the next 2 years or so. But Vaibhav, in the past, you've said your preference is for domestic-facing themes. You've had a pretty good budget. Banks is something that you like, I think industrials and some consumption-related stocks. What's the preference now? And if you could tell us, in that sort of an order.
Look, in fact, Nigel, you're right. I think we continue to like, banks led by private banks. Also, in terms of industrials, looking at the capex kind of budget, which has been increased with a very decent amount. And last but not the least is basically because of the change in tax structures, at the lower end, we do think that, more on the consumer staples is something which we can see some amount of demand recovery, along with some amount of rural recovery as well. So in that order is where we would like it. Just that the only thing is that we just need to see from a timing perspective that the FPI flows kind of get abated. And if that does happen, then we may see some sharp rebound back into banking and financials, purely because they have a good size weight in terms of their portfolio into these names.
All right, fair enough. Gentlemen, stay with us. We'll just have to take a quick commercial break at this point. Market doing very, very well. Lots more to discuss. We are back in just a bit.